Chapter 3. Degrees and Orders. Degrees of Evolution. Before taking up the spiritual aspects of the teaching of the Order of the 15, it is necessary to give a brief summary of its philosophical and geometrical basis. This chapter is necessarily somewhat mathematical and technical, and hence will be more or less difficult for some minds, but if anyone who finds it so will carefully reread it after studying the chapters which follow, they will have little trouble in grasping its details. Its importance at the beginning of the book is that it has set forth an outline of the Order of the 15, the reasons for its existence and its name, its relation to other orders, and its special work in the grand plan. It is said that God geometricizes. This is a truth founded on the fact, already demonstrated by science, that all forces flow and act along geometrical lines. This is as true of the forces which create a world as of those which create a snow crystal. The cosmos, the known universe, is composed of 7 degrees or states of matter. These states of matter correspond to the 7 states of consciousness into which all manifestations of the one life are divided: etheric, mineral, vegetable, animal, human, superhuman, and divine. This 7-fold division of the cosmos is illustrated by a plant. It first exists as a seed, in which are latent all the power and possibilities of the mature plant. As a seed, or its 7th degree, it has only the power to imbibe 2 kinds of food: water, the first kind, and heat, the second kind. These it assimilates and builds into growth, which bursts the confining shell and permits the sprout to be born into the earth, or its 6th degree, outside its shell. With the development of the sprout and roots, it is able to select various classes of a new food, the 3rd kind, earth, and develops the strength and stability that enables it to be born into a new world of air, its 5th degree. Here it puts forth special organs, the leaves, to assimilate the new food, the 4th kind, the gases of the air. It thus acquires the strength and ability to put forth a bud which soon unfolds into a blossom. This blossom opens its heart to another world, 4th degree, the light, where it assimilates still another food, 5th kind, the emanations from the sun. This enables the plant to replace its beautiful blossom by the fruit and to be born into a still higher degree, the 3rd. The fruit now absorbs a new food, the 6th kind, life essence, which gives it the power to sustain life when eaten and thus enter a higher degree, the 2nd. As it ripens, it absorbs still another food, the 7th kind, the creative power of the one life, which enables it to enter the 1st degree, manifest the intelligence necessary to register every step of its growth, and within the seed store up the potency and create after its kind. The matter composing a stone manifests the geometrical forms of the crystals composing it. The matter composing a daisy will manifest in the geometrical form of a daisy. The matter composing an animal follows the lines of that particular species. In the expression of these various geometrical forms, states of matter, and consciousness, each has its own numerical value. A crystal has a certain characteristic number of sides and angles. A daisy a certain number of petals. An animal a certain number of tissues, organs, senses, etc. The expression of the geometrical law of the universe can thus be traced in all the kingdoms, for all nature forms can be analyzed into a few single geometrical figures and their combinations. Every plant that grows follows certain geometrical lines, sending its roots in one direction, its trunk in another, and its branches in diverse other directions, yet all combining to make the perfect tree. All growth must be along these lines, for there is but one law of growth behind all manifested forms of the one life. The above illustrates perfectly the stages of your own growth, so study it carefully when you are inclined to be impatient at your progress, and realize that all advance is but a growth resulting from the assimilation of such food as you are able to digest. Man the thinker carries this same law into the mental world, and we find mankind separated into 7 great classes called degrees, their subdivisions being called orders. But it must be remembered that these are but convenient terms used to represent the conditions under which, and the lines along which, evolution takes place, just as a daisy is divided into root, stalk, leaf, and blossom according to its stage of growth or degree of evolution, yet all are but parts of the one plant. Those great spiritual beings are elder brothers who have evolved through the orders of the 4 lower great divisions or degrees and have attained all the wisdom to be gained there, from are now evolving in the orders of the degrees above the human, and hence are called initiates, adepts, mahatmas, or masters of wisdom, according to their stage of spiritual evolution. The Great White Lodge, which is the aggregate of all these great souls who, through repeated experience and determined effort through many earthly lives, have obtained mastery, firstly over the passions, appetites, and desires of their personal self, and secondly over the forces of their body and the life currents of the cosmos, is working back of and within every movement in any way benefiting mankind, and is constantly manipulating currents of force for the advancement of evolution. This body of masters is called a lodge because, like a lodge, it is divided into degrees and orders corresponding to, and directly connected with the various degrees and orders of humanity. Every order in each degree is thoroughly organized for its particular work. The lodge must work in humanity through degrees and orders corresponding to the lines of its own division, and each master must work through the degree and order which corresponds to the one in which he finds himself in the Great White Lodge. For such is the geometrical plan of the universe, and evolution can advance only along these general lines. Every avenue for aiding humanity is taken advantage of, and every channel is utilized to the extent to which it makes its use possible. For there is an order of mastery affinitized to every stage of human evolution. Therefore, every movement, whether spiritual, ethical, social, or political, that is working toward the betterment of mankind receives inspiration and help from the great spiritual beings who are affinitized to that particular avenue of helpfulness. No matter what lines of constructive thought you may be interested in, it will be possible for you to receive divine inspiration from these great teachers coached in terms comprehensible to you. In Revelation, we read that there were 12,000 sealed out of every tribe. This symbol illustrates the above-mentioned law, namely that it is possible to reach the heights of spiritual attainment or mastery out of every condition of life. For the 12 tribes of Israel symbolize the 12 classes of humanity born under the 12 signs of the zodiac. Each great degree of humanity is divided into 7 steps or order, which corresponds to the 7 notes of the musical scale and the 7 color rays of the solar spectrum, hence manifest perfect harmony or the pure white light of the sun. They are determined mathematically and arranged geometrically in accordance with the one law, that is, divine harmony, which must necessarily act along geometric lines. Every human being manifesting during the present cycle finds itself in its proper order in one of these 7 great divisions or degrees. The 7th degree of humanity. This degree is composed of 7 orders and comprises all entities who have reached the self-conscious stage of evolution, but who have not yet progressed very far above the animal kingdom. It includes the lowest types of savages. The lower orders of the 7th degree are, as it were, the kindergarten of the lodge, and are just as truly under its guidance and protection as are the higher orders. In fact, the lowest order of this degree overlaps the animal kingdom in that it embraces those anthropoid apes which, as the degenerate descendants of certain Lemurian Atlantean races, contain a spark of the divine fire. Such anthropoids form an exception because they were not intended by nature, but they are the direct product and creation of senseless man of these early races. After the middle point of the 4th race in the 4th round on our globe, no more monads can enter the human kingdom. The door is closed for the cycle and the balance struck. Since every spark of the divine fire is an emanation from a great master, all entities containing such a spark, no matter how obtained, must necessarily be a part of the body of their parent master, and their evolution must be watched over and guided by him until they are fitted to become one with him. The higher orders of this degree include the more advanced members of the lower races, and those members of the advanced races who may have made physical and intellectual progress, but who still have only a low degree of spiritual development. The 6th degree. The 6th degree, with its 7 orders, comprises all those in the position of teachers or leaders among the different races who are working consciously toward the betterment of humanity, but who have not yet realized their divine guidance or the assistance given them by the Masters of Wisdom, and who perhaps have never heard of the Lodge of Masters. Its lowest orders are composed of those untutored savages who, nevertheless, are leading and guiding those under them toward their highest conception of truth, while the highest orders embrace those humanitarian or philanthropic workers among the more advanced races who are earnestly seeking the physical, moral, intellectual, or social betterment of the race. The fifth degree. The 7 orders of the fifth degree include those who are more or less interested in esoteric matters, who are not satisfied with the outer manifestations of life, but who are seeking for the soul of things, who have some knowledge of the law as a fact, and who are studying along general occult or mystical lines. The fourth degree. This degree is graded in sequence according to its orders, and embraces all those earnest students and teachers who have taken their lower nature in hand and are deliberately striving to lead such a spiritual life as will bring them into personal touch with the masters of the lodge. The third, second, and first degrees are more sacred and above our present comprehension, so it will be impossible to consider them at this time. For when one enters the third degree, he has become more than human. He has entered the superhuman. Yet this degree overlaps the human fourth degree, just as the human overlaps the animal. The orders of the fourth degree. Since it is in the fourth degree that all who are drawn into this movement are now functioning, we will consider in some detail the 7 steps or orders into which it is divided. The highest order of the lower fifth degree overlaps the lowest order of the fourth degree, just as the 8th note in music is the completion of the lower octave and the beginning of the succeeding higher octave. Admission to the organized work of these orders does not rest with any organization save the Great White Lodge, and it alone can grant or withhold membership. And it does this upon the inner planes with often no outward recognition on the physical plane. The object of these orders of evolution is the spiritualization of matter after the crucifixion is completed. The mathematical law for the formation of the orders is as follows, each order taking its name from the sum of the digits composing its number. The cross was not first introduced in the Christian era, but is the most primitive of all symbols, representing the real crucifixion or involution, or the descent of spirit into matter, where it must be crucified upon the mundane cross and pass along the geometrical lines of evolution. The cross, being the 4th geometrical figure, represents the completion of involution, the turning point where evolution begins, or the 4th degree. This cross is also the tree of life, planted in the midst of the garden when mankind fell into generation, by whose fruit, if ye eat thereof, ye shall become as gods. We will therefore begin at the root of the cross with the order of the 36, which may be said to be the root of the tree of life, or the guardian wall around the foot of the cross. Negative orders, the order of the 36. This order is the negative aspect of the highest order 1 of this degree, or is the point where the force of the one enters the earth plane. Naturally, the persons composing this order are those who, through their normal evolution, have become aware of the Christ force working in them and in humanity as a whole, and who have lifted up their eyes to the cross and realized something of the meaning of the crucifixion upon it. As long as Christendom worships the Christ crucified, it is but driving the nails more firmly, for the Christ is crucified by being immersed in matter, that matter may be redeemed. A voluntary sacrifice to which man's disobedience has added cruelty and suffering. The Master Jesus is the great hierarchical ruler of the order of the One, and consequently must overshadow its negative expression, the order of the 36. That which is known as the Christian religion is a manifestation of this order on earth, but this order also embraces all those, in whatever church, society, or organization, who have recognized the divine Christ force within them, and are determinedly seeking to balance his force in their lives. This order receives its name from the sum of the first 8 numerals. 8 is the number of evolution, and therefore, according to the mathematical laws, evolution alone can admit a candidate to this order. The promulgation of the wisdom religion in this country is an attempt to build up a strong guardian wall around the cross by teaching the vital truth back of the symbols of Christianity, an attempt to cultivate and to water the taproot of the tree of life in humanity. Today, the order of the 36 includes all who have imbibed anything of the esoteric truth and are endeavoring to both live and teach them, be they called Christians, Theosophists, or by any other name. It is the preparatory school of the followers of the Christ. It also stands for the great universal church, not necessarily orthodox, and embraces all who are willing to sanctify themselves and work consciously for humanity. The order of the 36 is the first order in which the candidate consciously decides to enter the path which leads to mastery. All of its members have been acquainted with poverty and suffering, if not of body and estate, then of mind, through which they have gained such a realization of the difference between the Christ force and the man Jesus that they can recognize the universal Christ principle working in humanity, even when expressing itself through other avenues than the teaching of the Master Jesus. This realization is the first step up the mount of initiation. The Order of the 28. After candidates have entered the Order of the 36 and have proved themselves worthy to continue by the character of their subsequent lives, at once a new order forms itself and grows naturally out of this order, just as new lines are added to a crystal. This new order is composed of those souls who have advanced a little beyond their fellows and would correspond to the inner section of any occult organization put forth previous to the Order of the 15. It includes those in the Orthodox churches who are no longer satisfied with the dead-letter interpretation of the Scriptures, but who have listened to the voice of their own Father in heaven and are willing to express a greater tolerance and accept broader ideas on spiritual matters. This is the Order of the 28. It is the sum of the numerals of 7, the mystic feminine number. The end and the aim of this order is the unfolding of the teachings of Isis, the mother side of the Godhead, and the evolution of the feminine nature or soul principle through the power of love, in contradistinction to intellectual attainments. Isis represents the power to bring forth inhumanity. Hence, the geometrical figure symbolized this order is the square or the sacrificial stone on which the lower self is sacrificed, that the power to bring forth the Christ-man may be obtained. It will be noticed that the orders thus far considered are upon the negative side of the cross. They must therefore be developed and given to humanity by the negative action of natural development. In other words, a soul will grow into these two orders, 36 and 28, unconsciously as it advances towards freedom, with very little individualized help. But both orders are advanced collectively by the Masters of the Lodge. Admission to these orders depends upon natural law, the law of growth. A person enters them as soon as he becomes fit, either by the preparation afforded by life itself, or after the successful passing of well-defined initiations upon the inner plane, often without the consciousness of the personality. Positive orders. In accordance with the laws of evolution, whenever souls advance beyond the general development of an order, naturally a new order forms itself, just as a bud springs from a branch. In fact, two new orders, 21 and 15, form themselves simultaneously, both being on the positive side of the cross. The Order of the 21. The Order of the 21 is the sum of the numerals of 6. The 6 is the number of the Christos principle, or the generative power of the great creative force of the Father, manifesting in and through the universe, bringing forth all forms along geometrical lines. The 6 indicates the harmonizing of nature in its highest possibilities through the operation of the Christos, or the informing principle, the laws of which are taught in this order. As nature grows geometrically and in harmony, so this order teaches man to evolve in harmony by a study of the laws of geometry and music as expressed through form, color, and number, all of which are governed by the law of vibration. This, therefore, is preeminently the order concerned with the laws of nature and their bearing on the evolution of humanity. The persons drawn into this intellectual order are those who have a natural trend toward geometry, music, color, or mathematical studies. The Order of the 15. Many souls grow naturally from the Order of the 28 into the Order of the 21, while those who have specially developed their love nature pass into the Order of the 15, it being the order that reaches into the higher octave of love, that is, divine love, yet it is possible to be in both orders at the same time. These two orders, 21 and 15, are put forth simultaneously because they are closely interwoven, the one 21 representing the head, or the development of the intellect, and the other 15 representing the heart, or the development of intuition, the one the masculine, the other the feminine force. The Order of the 15 is the sum of the numerals of 5. The 5 is the great mystical number of humanity, and was held most sacred by the ancients. On their temples where the numerals were carved in stone, the number 5 was inlaid with pure gold. The numeral 5 stands for humanity. Hence, this order ordains to help humanity to reach the highest state of evolution. Its teachings deal with the human everyday problems which must be mastered ere man becomes more than man. This is the order of transmutation or alchemy, and while geometry and music are touched upon, more attention is given to the transmutation of all the baser qualities, including the elements or inner forces of all life, into the spiritual goal of regeneration through the power of divine love. The Order of the 15 has always existed, and traces of its various manifestations can be found in ancient and medieval history. The Order of the Annunciation, held in such high esteem by royalty today, is said to have been founded by Count Amadeus of Savoy. But long before that, and all through the Middle Ages, the number 15 was celebrated with many religious ceremonies and observances, the Order of the Annunciation being but an adaptation to Romish ideas of the ancient Order of the 15. The emblem of the Order of the Annunciation is a star which represented the Annunciation surrounded by 15 love knots. This also symbolizes the Order of the 15, for its mission has always been, even in the darkest periods of the world history, to announce the possibility of bringing into manifestation or birth the Christ force, which is brought about by the spread of tolerance, liberty, and brotherly love. The Masons also retain a degree of this order called the degree of the 15, its main objects being devoted to the spread of toleration and liberty against fanaticism and persecution, political and religious, and to that of education, instruction, and enlightenment against error, barbarism, and ignorance. These instances all show that the Order of the 15 has always been the open door through which the light of the great law has reached humanity, and shown it how to evolve above the light of any one candlestick, be it ever so golden or its light ever so brilliant, and how to behold the divine law which imparts the light to all, giving to each as much of his candle as able to manifest in the world. The Order of the 15 is the Order of the Holy Grail, whose lessons prepare for the initial initiation into the Order of the Flame. It is an expression of the Mother Force, the power of bringing forth. It is not what you know or believe, but what you bring forth in your life that admits you into full membership in this order. The two orders, 21 and 15, have already been formed on the earth plane, and as they are upon the positive side of the cross, the members of these orders must come into direct personal touch with the workers of the Great White Lodge. This has already been done, and a personal contact has been established. Like all other orders, however, membership does not depend upon recognition by any embodied teacher or teachers, but must be a conscious step taken voluntarily by each soul alone. Having taken a step alone apparently in the darkness, the pupil will be brought to the initiation which his demand will surely bring about. He will meet this initiation either unconsciously through natural worldly events, or events, however, which we have no difficulty in connecting with this great step, or consciously in the higher astral. The experiences met with at this period will not consist of a few great soul-stirring events, which when once past entitled him to admission, but will consist of events which will bring to him a repetition of experiences, which will force him to face himself and bring to his consciousness every secret and open fault. Events which will force him to gaze into the eyes of the self that he has created out of the personality which his real self or ego has created to train and function through, the self built up out of the thought forms he has created. It therefore contains the essence of the desires, ambitions, passions, and aspirations of personality. It is the dweller on the threshold that each must meet, recognize as his own creation, and conquer. There can be no dodging the issue or turning back from these events, for it is a mathematical law that he cannot pass on until he has acquired strength to conquer these faults, one by one, as they are presented to him. If he refuses or is unable to conquer, his soul must wait and work in the lower orders until it grows stronger, until another cyclic opportunity for advance is afforded. It is not a matter of pledges or words. He can never obtain membership in this order until he is able to live the earlier teachings and demonstrate to the world by his life that he has at least passed the earlier tests and has made some successful attempt to let your light shine before men, and that he has been born again and has been marked with the new name given by his Father. Higher orders. The Order of the 10 has not yet been openly established on the earth plane, although its teachings have been given esoterically for many centuries. It was from a master guiding this esoteric order that the teaching of the wisdom religion was first given out to the Western world. The Order of the 10 is the order in which the teachings of the Christ receive their completion upon the earth plane. It is necessarily composed only of those who can receive direct teaching from the Master of Wisdom. These are the disciples who sit at the feet of the Master. The Order of the 6 is the sum of the numerals of 3, and will be brought to humanity by the coming Avatar. The Order of the 3 and the 1. These perfected orders are beyond the comprehension of man in this present state of spiritual development. The Order of the 1 overlapping a new third great degree, the Divine.